guys, welcome back. Today we'll be discussing two adjustments of final accounts. Number one, interest on capital, and number two, interest on drawings. Now, before moving ahead with the adjustments and how the treatments of these are to be done, let us understand the meaning of the term capital and the meaning of the term drawings. Then only the interest concept will be bit clear to you. Now guys, initial theory chapters you have already studied that from business entity concept, it is said that from accounting point of view, business is separate and businessman is separate. Now the point comes, if business has to do its functioning, will it be requiring the money or not? Yes. Now that money which the business will be requiring, from where will the business get this money? Of course, that money will be contributed by the businessman. Now, when the businessman contributes the money into the business, that contribution done by the businessman is known as capital. Now, just tell me, if suppose I am taking a money from someone, am I responsible to return it back to him or not? Of course, I am responsible. In the same manner, when the business has taken the money from the businessman, business is liable to return it back to the businessman whenever he demands. Now, that is the reason for business, capital is always considered to be a liability. Now the point comes, as and when businessman is in need of money, sometimes it so happens that businessman is also in requirement of money. So whenever the businessman withdraws the money from the business for his personal use, that amount withdrawn by the businessman from the business is known as drawings. Now the picture is like this, that business is giving the money to whom? To the businessman, and this type of withdrawal is known as drawings. Now the point comes, if suppose the businessman has decided, rather the business has decided that whatever capital is contributed by the owner, on that interest will be given, and if owner withdraws some money from the business, in order to restrict the owner to withdraw maximum amount, the business will be charging interest on that. So, the interest which the business gives to the businessman on his capital contribution, that is known as interest on capital. And whatever money the business charges from the businessman on the amount which he has drawn, that is known as interest on drawings. Now, if you see from business point of view, because whenever you are preparing an account, it will always be prepared from the business's point of view. Now, from business point of view, what do you find? Interest is coming or going if it is in reference to interest on capital. Business has to pay that interest. So, when business has to pay that interest, the direction is like this. And when it is the interest on drawings, business will be receiving the interest. So when business is to receive the interest, the direction is like this. My question now, if we talk about interest on capital, for the business, what do you find? Is it an income or an expense? It seems to be an expense. But when we talk about interest on drawings, this is something which the business is taking from the businessman. So from business's point of view, this interest on drawings will be considered to be an income. Now, how the accounting treatment of it will be done in final account, let us have the further discussion. Now guys, here is an extract of trial balance with two adjustments. In this trial balance, if you see, we have one element called capital, which is of rupees 1 lakh. Now my question, capital for the business is an asset or a liability? Because this is the money which was contributed by the owner into the business, so business is always responsible to pay that money back to the owner whenever he demands. Therefore, for business, capital is a liability. Now, if it is a liability and the question comes that interest is to be provided on capital at the rate of 10% per annum, that interest for the business, will it be an expense or not? Yes, it will be an expense. So, being an expense, it will be recorded in the profit and loss account on the debit side. And here in profit and loss account, we will write the term to interest on capital. Now question is saying that interest on capital is to be calculated at the rate of 10%. So 10% of 1 lakh will be rupees 10,000, and that 10,000 figure will come as an expense for the business. Now the second thing comes, interest on drawings is to be charged at the rate of 5%. Now you people are aware of this fact that from accounting point of view, business is separate and businessman is separate. When businessman is withdrawing the money from the business, it is a sort of financial assistance provided by the business to whom? Businessman. Now when business is giving the money to the businessman, in return business might charge the interest on that. Now that interest charged by the business from the businessman is known as interest on drawings. Now because from business's point of view, this interest will be an income. So being an income, it will be recorded in the profit and loss account on the credit side. And here it comes like this, by interest on drawings. The amount of interest on drawings will be calculated as it is said that interest on drawings is to be charged at the rate of 5%, and here the amount of drawings given is rupees 20,000. So 5% of 20,000 will come to rupees 1,000, and that amount of 1,000 will be written on the credit side. This was the treatment of interest on capital and interest on drawings in the profit and loss account. Now, how is it to be dealt in balance sheet? Let us discuss further on this issue. You know that the amount of capital for the business is a liability. So, this capital figure will be placed in the balance sheet on the liability side, that is rupees 1 lakh. Now, if suppose there is a profit in a question, that profit will also be added to capital, because in my present extract I am focusing only on interest on capital and interest on drawings, so that profit concept is ignored for a while. Now what you have to do, when there was interest on capital, it was an expense for the business. Now this expense, is the business liable to pay or not? If of course it is liable to pay, to whom will it pay? To the owner. Now if suppose any payment is to be given to an outsider, you record it in the form of cash payment. But if any payment is to be given to the owner of the business, we don't pay it in the form of cash, we directly increase the capital of the owner. So that is the reason why interest on capital is added to the amount of capital. The amount of interest on capital was 10,000. Adding it up, the total amount now comes to rupees 1,10,000. It means that now business is liable to pay rupees 1,10,000 back to the owner. Now the next thing comes, if suppose the businessman has withdrawn rupees 20,000, just tell me, will the liability of the business still remain like that, or because of drawings the liability will be going down? Of course it will go down. So Here you will be doing like this, minus drawings, and the amount of drawings given is rupees 20,000, which will be written on which inner side. Why? As you know, there is interest on drawings also. Interest on capital is an expense recorded in profit and loss account on the debit side. Interest on drawings for the business is an income. It will be recorded in the profit and loss account on the credit side. Now, the further discussion is important. Interest on capital is added to the amount of capital. Now, when interest on capital is added to the amount of capital, interest on drawings will also be added to the amount of drawings. Now, that interest on drawings will be added to this amount of drawings, and that is rupees 2000. Sorry, the amount of interest on drawings is rupees 1000. So, what is the total amount which the business is to take from the businessman? That is rupees 21,000. The concept behind charging interest on drawings and adding it to the drawings over here is that if suppose the business has a policy of taking the money back from the owner what he has taken, so on that amount of 20,000, business will be taking 1,000 on the name of interest also. In that way, the businessman is now responsible to pay back the business rupees 21,000, or in other words, we can say if businessman doesn't pay, business will say that my responsibility has gone down by total rupees 21,000. And after this, whatever is the amount of balance which comes, that balance amount will be placed in the balance sheet in the outer, which will be rupees 89,000. Guys, I hope this presentation will clear out your doubt regarding interest on capital and interest on drawings. I'll be waiting for your valuable suggestions and the comments so that further improvement can come up in the next upcoming presentations. If you have enjoyed, like it, subscribe my channel, press the bell icon, which is very essential. If you will not press the bell icon, the updates will not come to you so easily. You will have to visit the channel, then only you will see what I am uploading. But by pressing the bell, you will be easily getting the updates on your mobile phones or on your systems. Now, if you have enjoyed, appraise it, share it with your friends. Till then, all the best for your bright future. Bye bye.